Did your kids recognize them, or has it been too long? So the last time that my kids saw Robyn was it was before the boys turned 1, because we moved. So
Robyn Brown did not lose the trust of one angry child. According to Mykelti's estimate, she may have lost almost an entire generation of the Brown family. But the most shocking part is not the number. It is the person who finally said it. Mykelti was once Robyn's strongest defender, her closest connection to the older children, and the daughter most willing to keep both sides talking. Now she says roughly 80 to 85% of her siblings from Kody's first 3 wives do not like Robyn. So what happened? How did the woman who claimed she wanted one united family become the person most of that family apparently cannot accept? That percentage was Mykelti's personal estimate, not a secret vote taken by all 18 children. She was talking specifically about the siblings born to Meri, Janelle, and Christine, not Robyn's own children. That distinction matters, but it does not make the statement less explosive. Mykelti knows these relationships from inside the family. She has watched private tensions grow behind the television story. And when someone who once protected Robyn's image suddenly describes resentment on that scale, it suggests the public arguments were only the surface. The real damage may have been building quietly for years, one disappointment at a time, until the children stopped seeing Robyn as another mother and started seeing her as the symbol of everything they lost. To understand why Mykelti's words hit so hard, remember what she represented. She was never simply another Brown child standing on one side of the conflict. During a difficult period in her teenage years, she found comfort and attention with Robyn. That connection continued into adulthood. Mykelti invited Robyn into deeply personal family moments and appeared determined to keep a relationship with both Robyn and Kody even after Christine left. When other people criticized her for remaining close to them, Mykelti did not immediately run away. She tried to stand in the middle. That made her a bridge between 2 households that were rapidly becoming separate families. But bridges do not break because of one footstep. They break after carrying more pressure than anyone realizes. And that creates the first major mystery. If Mykelti once understood Robyn better than most of her siblings, what did she eventually see that changed the emotional balance? There may not have been one dramatic confrontation. There may not be a single secret scene waiting to be exposed. The answer could be far more painful because it is so ordinary. A missed call. A celebration handled differently. A father who always seemed available in one house, but emotionally exhausted everywhere else. An apology that came with conditions. A family conversation that somehow became another argument about loyalty. One moment can be forgiven. 10 moments create a pattern. And once adult children recognize that pattern, they begin re-examining their entire childhood through it. The resentment did not begin when the marriages officially fell apart. It started much earlier, when Robyn entered a family that already had its own habits, roles, and unspoken rules. Kody suddenly had a new relationship demanding his time. Robyn also brought 3 children who needed stability and a place in a complicated household. None of that automatically made her the villain. The real problem was that integration required fairness, patience, and constant reassurance. Instead, the older children watched the family become increasingly divided. What adults described as scheduling problems may have felt like rejection to the children. They did not measure love through speeches about plural marriage. They measured it through where their father spent his evenings and whose needs received the fastest response. Children notice details adults believe they can explain away. They notice when one household receives patience while another gets rules. They notice when one mother is defended and another is blamed. They notice when their father knows the daily fears of the children living under one roof, but seems surprised by the pain growing in the others. Even if Robyn never ordered Kody to make those choices, her family appeared to benefit from them. That difference is crucial. A person does not have to create an unfair system to become associated with it. If she is protected by that system while everyone else feels pushed outside, resentment will eventually land at her door. That may be the hidden meaning behind Mykelti's estimate. The older children may not all dislike Robyn for the same reason. Some may believe she encouraged the separation. Others may think Kody changed because he preferred the life he built with her. Some may simply resent that she continued defending a family structure that no longer matched their experience. Different roads can still lead to the same emotional destination. Robyn became the face of Kody's favoritism because she remained beside him while his other relationships disappeared. Every time he defended her before acknowledging a child's pain, the message became harder to ignore. To those children, protecting Robyn and protecting the family no longer looked like the same thing. Then the pandemic turned old resentment into an open war. Before that moment, unequal time could be debated. Kody could blame distance, work, difficult marriages, or children growing older. But strict household rules created a visible line. On one side stood Kody, Robyn, and the children in her home. On the other stood relatives who believed the rules were unrealistic, unevenly enforced, or being used to justify separation. Kody insisted the rules were his. Robyn denied being the person secretly controlling him. Yet from the perspective of the older children, the result mattered more than whoever wrote the list. Their father was still present in Robyn's home while becoming increasingly absent from theirs. That is where frustration became something much harder to repair. Gabe and Garrison were no longer little boys waiting quietly for their father's approval. They were adults willing to challenge him. Kody appeared to interpret that resistance as disloyalty. The sons appeared to interpret his demands as proof that access to their father now depended on obedience. When a parent and adult child both believe the other person must surrender first, every conversation becomes a test instead of a connection. Nobody feels heard. Nobody feels safe enough to soften. And the person living closest to the parent often becomes part of the conflict, even if she insists she wants peace. The emotional injuries kept becoming more personal. Isabel faced major spinal surgery, and Kody did not travel with her. Whatever fears or practical concerns shaped that decision, a daughter still had to process her father's absence during one of the most frightening experiences of her life. Gabe later described the pain of receiving a call from Kody on his birthday, only to realize his father was focused on COVID and had initially forgotten the occasion. These moments were not arguments about abstract family rules. They were memories the children would carry. And each painful memory strengthened the belief that Kody's priorities had changed. This is where blaming Robyn becomes both understandable and incomplete. She did not make the forgotten birthday call. She did not physically prevent Kody from getting on a plane. She did not control every conversation he had with his sons. Kody was the father. He held the responsibility to maintain those bonds. But Robyn's household still represented the place where he remained emotionally invested. That made her the safest target for anger and the most visible reminder of the imbalance. The children could look at Robyn's family and imagine the version of Kody they believed had disappeared from their own lives. Whether that comparison was completely fair almost stopped mattering. Emotionally, it felt real. And then a Christmas gift exchange exposed just how divided everyone had become. The tradition should have created one small reason for the siblings to reconnect. Instead, a group text reportedly became another battle over communication, expectations, and belonging. What began as a simple plan turned into a larger argument involving the adults. Robyn's older children came away feeling that they were not truly accepted by the original family. The other siblings appeared to feel blamed, misunderstood, or forced into another loyalty test. By the end, both sides believed they were the ones being rejected. That is how families move from conflict to permanent separation. They stop arguing about what happened and start arguing about which group has the right to feel hurt. The gift exchange did not destroy the Brown family by itself. It revealed that the family no longer shared a common emotional language. When Robyn's household used words like unsafe or rejected, the other children may have heard an accusation that erased their own pain. When the older siblings pushed back, Robyn's children may have heard confirmation that they never belonged. Every response became evidence for the opposite side. A conversation intended to connect the children instead divided them into camps. And once parents become defenders of camps rather than guides for the whole family, sibling disagreements begin carrying the weight of adult marriages. That text chain matters because it removed the final illusion. For years, the Browns could claim that they were one family living through temporary problems. After the exchange collapsed, even a holiday tradition could not survive without reopening old wounds. The children were no longer simply scattered across different homes and states. They were emotionally separated. Some believed Robyn's children had been protected at their expense. Robyn's children believed the larger family had never fully accepted them. Kody appeared to stand closest to the household that still welcomed him. That alignment made reconciliation feel less like healing and more like choosing which version of the family story everyone had to accept. But here is the twist that keeps Robyn from being the entire answer. Kody always had the power to interrupt this pattern. He could have contacted each child without demanding agreement first. He could have acknowledged specific pain without turning the conversation into a defense of himself or Robyn. He could have said that his intention did not erase the impact of his absence. Instead, several children appeared to reach the point where boundaries felt safer than reconciliation. Mykelti later claimed that some siblings had blocked him or directly asked him not to contact them. That does not happen because of one awkward holiday. It happens when people believe every new conversation will reopen the same injury. Maddie's public explanation makes that pattern clearer. She described a relationship in which boundaries were not respected and disagreement could trigger anger or defensiveness. Gabe also focused on accountability. The message from the adult children was not simply, choose us instead of Robyn. It was closer to, recognize what happened before asking us to return. Kody seemed to want relationships without accepting every accusation attached to the estrangement. The children seemed unwilling to rebuild while feeling that their reality was still being challenged. Those positions created a locked door, and both sides believed the other person was holding the key. Robyn's role becomes even more complicated because she has publicly pushed Kody to reconnect with his children. She has told him they need him and suggested he should make a much greater effort. On the surface, that challenges the idea that she wants the children gone. But the older children may ask a different question. If Robyn truly wanted reconciliation, why did the family remain so divided while she had the most influence and access? That question may not be fair, but it is emotionally powerful. Wanting Kody to repair the damage is not the same as understanding why the children associate that damage with life inside her household. This is why Mykelti's statement changes the story. She was the child most likely to recognize Robyn's good side. She knew what it felt like to receive support from her when she needed it. She had personal reasons to resist the simple villain narrative. So when Mykelti estimates that most of the original siblings do not like Robyn, she is not speaking as someone who always hated her. She is describing a family reality she can no longer soften. Her words do not prove that every accusation against Robyn is true. They prove that the emotional damage has spread far beyond one feud or one difficult relationship. There is another uncomfortable possibility. Mykelti may not have changed because Robyn suddenly became a different person. Mykelti may have changed because adulthood gave her a different view of the same behavior. As a teenager, attention from Robyn may have felt like rescue. As an adult with children of her own, Mykelti may now judge family decisions by a different standard. She may understand why her siblings experience the same household differently. Growing older can turn gratitude into complexity. Someone can appreciate what Robyn once provided and still recognize the pain connected to her later choices. Those two truths can exist together, and that makes this conflict more believable than a sudden betrayal. The 85% estimate also hides individual stories. It does not tell us which siblings dislike Robyn, how strongly they feel, or whether their reasons match. One child may be angry about Kody's absence. Another may resent the treatment of their mother. Another may feel the gift exchange proved the families could never blend. Someone else may simply want distance from the entire television conflict. Mykelti's number gives the audience scale, not a complete map. And that missing information creates the biggest question for season 21. Will the show finally let the adult children explain their own boundaries, or will their silence be interpreted for them again? Imagine the pressure if season 21 attempts even a small family gathering. Every empty chair would carry a story. Every invitation would raise questions about who refused, who was never asked, and who would only attend under specific conditions. Mykelti could enter that situation as the former bridge who now understands why the two sides cannot simply hug and move on. Robyn might say she wants the family back, but the children could demand something more difficult than tears or promises. They could demand a direct acknowledgement that the family they remember was not equally safe, equal, or loving for everyone. That is where a possible reunion becomes dangerous for Kody. Reconciliation sounds beautiful until it requires specific accountability. It is easy to say the door is always open. It is harder to name the missed surgery, the forgotten birthday, the angry conversations, and the years of unequal access without immediately defending the reasons behind them. The children may not want another general statement about mistakes. They may want separate apologies that recognize separate wounds. And if Kody treats those requests as attacks on Robyn, the same pattern will repeat. His defense of his wife will once again sound like dismissal of his children. Robyn would face an equally difficult choice. She could continue explaining that she never controlled Kody, which may be true, or she could acknowledge that her household benefited from choices that hurt others. Those are not the same admission. She would not need to accept blame for every broken relationship. She would need to recognize why the children connected her comfort to their loss. That kind of acknowledgement could open a new conversation. But if the response centers only on how rejected Robyn and her children feel, the original siblings may once again believe their pain is being erased. Season 21 could therefore expose a conflict much bigger than whether people like Robyn. The real battle is over who gets to define what happened to the family. Kody and Robyn may see a plural family destroyed by disloyalty, divorce, and children choosing sides. Many of the adult children may see a father who gradually built a new center of gravity and then blamed everyone who refused to orbit it. Both stories contain emotion. Only one question can move them forward: who is willing to admit that their version is not the only version? The tragedy is that everyone once claimed to want the same thing. Robyn said she wanted the large family. The original wives wanted their children to share one father. The children grew up calling one another siblings across different mothers. But wanting the picture of a united family was never enough. Unity required the adults to distribute time, protection, and accountability in a way the children could actually feel. When that failed, the family kept defending the picture while the relationships inside it weakened. By the time everyone admitted the picture was broken, many of the children had already built lives where distance felt healthier than hope. So, what destroyed the Brown family bond? It was not one woman arriving with 3 children. It was not one pandemic rule, one missed birthday, one surgery, one divorce, or one disastrous group text. It was the accumulation of moments that appeared to deliver the same message. One household would be protected first, and everyone else would be asked to understand. Robyn became the face of that message because she stayed beside Kody and received the version of him the others missed. Kody became the source of the damage because he had the responsibility and power to make every child feel chosen. Mykelti's estimate is explosive because it suggests the children have already reached their verdict, even if viewers do not know every reason behind it. 80 to 85% is not a minor personality conflict. It is evidence of a family identity that may have collapsed beyond repair. The final question is no longer whether Robyn can convince the children that she wanted them. It is whether Kody and Robyn can listen to why those children felt unwanted without turning their pain into another accusation. Because if Kody keeps waiting for his children to return on his terms, he is not rebuilding the family. He is protecting the choices that broke it. And that silence may become the loudest answer season 21 ever delivers.